Well, before we started Refuge for Women, I was working at a church and I was serving as one of the staff members doing pastoral ministries. And so I would go to the hospitals and do visitations or do funerals, weddings. I was leading support groups, doing some counseling at the church, and did that for about 4 years at the church there before we knew that God was calling us to start Refuge for Women. Starting Refuge for Women actually began even before we were in Lexington, Kentucky. My wife and I were serving at a men's facility up in Ohio, and we were working with guys that were struggling with addiction. They would bring them out of the city of Columbus, Ohio, and take them out into a very rural area, 110-acre farm out in southern Ohio. We fell in love with this idea of people healing next to each other, living together long-term, chopping wood, mowing grass, just living life together while they were healing from just all the things that they had been through. And so when we moved back to Lexington, I felt in my heart God was calling me to start a refuge. However, at the time, I was thinking it was going to be a men's refuge, had no vision of a women's refuge. And so as I was serving as one of the ministers, a woman came and sat in my office, started telling me about an outreach that her and her daughter started doing to the strip clubs in Lexington. She started saying, I used to work there 25 years earlier, and my daughter and I went back to the same club, and we took a home-cooked meal just to say, there's people that love you, care about you, and you matter. She said, we've been doing that for 3 years now, and there's now over 100 women at the church are involved, and we go to 5 strip clubs every Wednesday night, but some of the women are starting to say they want to get out, and we don't have anywhere to put them. So she said, I'm asking you, would you consider joining us in prayer for a next step? At the same time that was going on, my best friend bought a 50-acre farm, had no farmhouse on it, and one thing led to another, and he let us use that farmhouse. We renovated it, and we opened up Refuge for Women. I think one of the obstacles that I had to overcome in my mind was leaving the known, a salary, predictable schedule, and stepping into the unknown of starting a nonprofit. And the other piece of it was a man leading a women's organization. That was something in my mind. I'm going, God, is this really you calling me to do this? But my wife and I were convinced that God was calling us. We both were working at the church, but we felt like I was the one to step out and get this going. So we've been doing this now for 11 years. It's been an incredible journey. We've learned a lot, but we've seen God do things that only God can do. My name is Ked Frank, and I'm called.
Hi, my name is Kim Chekai. I'm the director of the Shelter Mentorship Program at the Samaritan Women Institute for Shelter Care. If what you just heard resonates with you, if you feel you're being called into direct care for survivors of sexual exploitation, or you're with an organization running an outreach program or an advocacy group doing a drop-in center, but you feel you're being called into a residential program, we want to invite you to our informational webinar on establishing a residential program on Tuesday, June 23rd at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. There's no cost for this webinar. For more information, please visit our website. Thank you.